1934, Jerry Sandusky was born in Washington, Pennsylvania. To his parents, Art and Evie, Jerry Sandusky attended Pennsylvania State University, earning both a bachelor's and master's degree in health and physical education, while he played defensive end on the football team.
After graduating from Penn State in 1966, he went off to work with 2 other colleges and universities before returning back to be an assistant coach under Joe Paterno in 1969, where he spent 32 years on the coaching staff.
When Sandusky was younger, his parents ran a community center that offered youth programs, and in 1977, he founded his own charity called Second Mile for At-Risk Kids. Sandusky and his wife met a child from this charity that they decided to adopt, along with their other 5 adopted children. This is where a few of the problems started.
Sandusky retired from Penn State in 1999, but continued to use the facilities for some of the Second Mile activities. Although there was an incident prior to this one in 2000, the incident of Sandusky being caught attacking a child in the showers was reported to both Paterno and the athletic director of Penn State, but not to the police in 2002.
In 2008, he was working with a high school as a volunteer coach. A freshman from the school informed his mother of the inappropriate sexual abuse he had experienced from Jerry. This young boy was known as victim number 1, even though he wasn't the first victim, until they began to investigate and found the real first victim later on.
3 years later, in November of 2011, Jerry Sandusky was arrested on 40 charges connected with the abuse of 8 boys. He was released on a $100,000 bond until a month later, when another set of charges was filed, with 2 more accusers added. This time, the judge ordered him to be held overnight until he could post a $250,000 cash bail.
A stunning story of bravery by a young boy who stood up after he says so many adults looked the other way. It is an ABC News exclusive. For the very first time, the young man who brought down a football legend in Pennsylvania, Coach Jerry Sandusky, speaks out. His name is Aaron Fisher, and until now he has been called victim number 1. 2020 co-anchor Chris Cuomo is here now with what it took for a child to come forward, and Chris searches for answers from adults this young man says let him down.
The epic investigation of Penn State University and its famed former coach all started with one boy.
My name's Aaron, otherwise known as Victim 1.
Aaron was 11 when he met Jerry Sandusky, after he was invited to join a free summer camp in Pennsylvania run by the local legend.
He just seemed like the all-natural father figure.
Sandusky took a liking to Aaron, bringing him to sporting events, sleepovers at Sandusky's house.
Terrible things are going on. Just you and him, right?
In the basement, yes.
And he says he wasn't safe at school either. Sandusky, who volunteered as a football coach there, began regularly pulling him out of class to see him.
The one place I thought I could feel safe, and it's just completely shattered.
But you weren't able to say,
No.
This guy is a monster, he's sexually assaulting me.
I couldn't do it.
Why?
Embarrassment, fear of not being believed.
Finally, when he was 15, he told the school principal about the abuse. His mother says in that principal's office, her son was betrayed again.
They tell me to go home and think about it.
Go home and think about what?
That's what I said.
Here I am, beside my mom crying, telling her, look, they don't believe me. I knew they wouldn't.
In a way, he was right. Police said they would need more victims to go up against the legendary Sandusky.
Why wasn't Aaron enough?
Jerry Sandusky walked on water. And we were going to send this kid up against an icon. We needed more evidence.
For 3 years, Aaron told his story to authorities over and over. Still no arrest. Meanwhile, the victims were piling up. Sandusky was finally sentenced for his crimes against many boys just last week. But what about others, like Coach Steve Turchetta, who helped Sandusky get Aaron out of class to meet him? We wanted to know why he didn't speak up.
Mr. Turchetta?
Please turn the camera off.
Chris Cuomo from ABC News. We've been trying to get in touch with you.
Please turn the camera off.
He may not want to talk to us, but he admitted to a grand jury he had suspicions, even though he said he didn't know of any assaults.
Turn the camera off now.
So you got nothing to say to Aaron, you got nothing to say to his mother?
Please turn the camera off.
Nothing at all.
And Chris is here now, and could you seek out other adults on this young man's behalf?
We do. The principal, who Aaron's mother says told them to go home when they made an allegation of abuse. The prosecutor for the Attorney General, that took 3 years for this case to be brought. We find out why for Aaron tonight.
And you were saying you don't call him victim number one around here.
Not around here. We call him hero number one, and there are already rumblings that there may be an investigation into how this was handled.
All right, well, I want everybody to be sure to know that you can see all of Chris Cuomo's exclusive report. It is stunning, and it is tonight on 20/20 at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central.
Sandusky was originally charged with 52 counts. Before the trial, it was dropped down to 48, due to some of the charges not appropriately falling under the correct category, or simply not applying at the time. After the jury returned that he was guilty of 45 of the 48 charges, he was taken to the county jail on June 22nd, 2012.
Several victims finally released their statements regarding being sexually abused or assaulted by Sandusky, and even a few took the stand during the trial.
Here are a few of those victims' stories.
Number one stayed at Sandusky's house more than 100 times as a boy, where the former assistant football coach repeatedly abused him. He was 11 when the abuse started, but 15 when he actually confessed to his mother. Now 18, the man identified as victim number one, Sandusky aimed to be a father figure in public. At first, he would kiss me on the forehead goodnight, victim number one said, but it was kissing me on the cheek, then rubbing and cracking my back. Sandusky's roaming hands would later move to rub underneath my shorts, he said. The alleged abuse further escalated when Sandusky put his mouth on my private parts. Later, the former coach allegedly told him that, "It's your turn," he added. He made me put my mouth on his private parts, victim number one says. Sandusky, who has pleaded not guilty, indecently fondled, performed oral sex, and forced victim one to perform oral sex on him on several occasions.
A 28-year-old man identified as victim number 4 said that Sandusky routinely had the teenage boy perform oral sex on him while the two showered together on the school's campus and elsewhere. It would have to be 40 times at least, he said, adding that the abuse started when he was 14 years old. He described growing up without parental oversight before Sandusky took to him, playing sports with him, paying for uniforms, a snowboard, and other items, taking him to Penn State games, and doing other special things. Victim number 4 said Sandusky also drove him to buy marijuana once when he was 15 or 16, and he bought him a carton of cigarettes. He treated me like a son in front of other people. Outside of that, he's treated me like his girlfriend, he said, noting Sandusky's habit of putting his hand on the then teen's thighs when they drove in a car together. Victim number 4 detailed other instances of alleged abuse, including Sandusky trying to penetrate him in the shower, caressing him, and kissing his thighs. Taking place in athletic buildings on Penn State's campus, as well as a golf resort and hotel, including a trip to Florida and Texas to watch the Nittany Lions play at the Outback and Alamo Bowls. Respectively, victim number 4 testified. A few more things about the victims are that 26 of Sandusky's victims have received a financial settlement from the university. Prosecutors filed 52 charges on behalf of 10 victims in 2010. And since the criminal prosecution, around 30 victims have come forward, but most victims remain anonymous.
Here's Alex and Kayla with more on the story.
Alright. According to a USA Today article, Jerry Sandusky's adopted son Matthew said in an interview in July 2014 that although he said otherwise in police records in 2012, he now recalls oral sex given by his adopted father around bedtime. He was instructed to wear either just underwear or blue mesh shorts, and it started out as just tickling and wrestling before it became more sexual. During that interview, Matt is quoted saying, "I think he believes the things that he was doing to us, that was love to him. That was him taking care of us. That was him being there for us when no other person would have been. So in his own, to me, warped way, I truly believe that he cared, that he was loving us."
In July of 2013, the NCAA decided to punish the entire Penn State football program in the wake of the child sex abuse scandal. The team was given a 4-year postseason ban, placed on 5 years of probation, had scholarships taken away, given us $60 million, and all current or incoming football players were allowed to immediately transfer and compete at another school. 112 wins were also taken away from Joe Paterno and the football program. Just this month, the NCAA ended the postseason ban and has restored the football scholarships, but hasn't reinstated the wins that were taken away from Joe Paterno. They sent in emails to cancel the original trial for the school to go through, but it was denied by the judge. He said that this court finds that an in-camera inspection of the remain disputed documents is necessary and appropriate to establish privilege. News on the document should be known shortly.
Other coaches and school board members were either fired or placed on administrative leave after being found guilty of different charges, including perjury, obstruction, endangering the welfare of children, conspiracy, and failure to properly report suspected abuse. They are all currently awaiting trial, but head coach Joe Paterno died in January of 2012. Just recently, his wife made a statement that she still knows her husband is innocent and is not a pedophile. She says that her husband was not accused for decades simply because he has not committed any crimes.
Jerry Sandusky is currently serving a 30 to 60 year sentence and has lost an appeal to the state, but still continues to say that he is innocent and has never done anything wrong. One of his last statements was, "My only sex partner was my wife, and that was after marriage."
The Jerry Sandusky trial, a riveting moment in the courtroom. Sandusky's wife, Dottie, took the stand, the only other adult in the house when the alleged abuse took place there. So what did she see? What did she hear? ABC senior national correspondent Jim Avila was in the courtroom.
A woman on a mission. Dottie Sandusky marches into court to save the remaining days of the man she has known and loved for nearly 50 years. Taking the witness stand with a wink directed at her husband Jerry, she capped the defense's strongest day yet with spirited testimony that claimed he was too busy to molest children, while delivering a non-too-subtle attack on the boys who say the former Penn State coach assaulted them.
I saw in Dottie Sandusky's testimony a loyal wife, but a wife who had to concede the obvious points in the prosecution case, which was that these boys were there in the home with frequency and in the basement and being tucked into bed by her husband.
The 69-year-old Dottie hails from Tennessee. She and Jerry met as college sweethearts. He calls her Sarge because she's in charge at home. Married 45 years with 6 adopted children. Today, in a firm but soft voice, Mrs. Sandusky denied the State College home where she lives with Jerry was a house of horrors for little boys. Alleged victim number 9 told jurors last week he was assaulted in her basement while she was at home and screamed for help, but no one came. He thought the basement might be soundproof. Defense attorney Joe Amendola asking her directly, "Is your basement soundproof?" "No." "How's your hearing?" "I'm a light sleeper. I hear noises." She told jurors her husband is in bed before she is 99% of the time. They sleep together in the same bed. And when asked point blank, "Did you ever hear any of the young men yelling for help?" Dottie said no. During a gentle cross-examination, Dottie told the jury she does not know why the boys would lie about her husband, but took a parting shot at the boy who started it all, known as victim number 4. What kind of kid was he? She said he was conniving, demanding, wanted his way. So now the spotlight turns to Jerry Sandusky himself. Will he take the stand tomorrow in the final day of testimony? His attorney was heard telling the judge today he wasn't sure. The decision hadn't been made yet. But ABC News has been told that, in fact, they're leaning toward putting Jerry Sandusky on the stand, but that final decision will not be made until tonight.
We will keep you updated on the developing Jerry Sandusky case. Have a great rest of your day.